Awesome. So we should be good to go. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the latest episode of the FinOps on Azure podcast. So it's Mike Stephenson here from Turbo 360, and I'm really pleased today to be joined by Victor Garcia, who's a good friend of ours. We've collaborated a bit over the last couple of years, and Victor's the host of the FinOps Weekly Newsletter. So welcome to us, join us, Victor.
Thanks, Mike, for having me today, and thanks to the show for hosting it today.
Perfect, thank you. So what I wanted to do on today's episode was really just get to know a little bit about Victor. And I'm really keen to learn about the FinOps Weekly Newsletter and kind of how we came up with the idea and just his journey into the FinOps space and what he's been doing with the newsletter. So Victor, just start off, tell us a little bit about your background and where you are and kind of what things you're into.
Yeah, so now mainly for the FinOps audience that could be listening to us, I am the founder of FinOps Weekly, part of Smart Clouds, which is a global media company. Now, so I started this project 1 year and something ago, and my background about it is because I've been a DevOps engineer for several years now. I worked on the cloud. I always help people to deploy stuff. I started as a developer, but then moved to more deployment of things. So I moved to all this DevOps when it was kind of starting with Docker and all this stuff. But I'm always a very financial guy. So I like companies, I like the markets, I like the financials, I like the numbers in general since I was a kid. So I was giving mentorship to several people to help them with the journey to cloud, with how to become certified, with Azure, AWS, GCP, etc. And then one of these mentees would need help with cost reduction exercises in the cloud. So we dived into their ecosystem, and I was, refreshed about, okay, maybe the cost is something that we don't think very much these days in cloud, and it's something that I could focus on because I like the financials, the numbers, etc. So I dig into it, and I discovered the FinOps world and how it connected the business value, the economics value to the cloud. And that was let's say an aha moment for me. It's like, this is a match for me. I will do this for sure. And I started, creating content and working my words to it. And for the newsletter, basically I was learning myself. I was learning FinOps, I was learning about it, and I wasn't seeing a place where I could see all the FinOps content in a single place, all the news, all the updates, etc., etc. So what I did was basically doing that. I gathered all the information that I see valuable in the week, and I put it in a single place, and I publish it online, and I send it to you through your email. And it seems like it was something that was missing in the community because it got a lot of acceptance and a lot of readers, and everyone was very interested into it. So that's basically it. I found a need for me, and then I shared it to everyone, and I think it made a good impact to the FinOps community.
That's really cool. So it was really just a case of you got into FinOps originally because you kind of managed to bring together two of the things you enjoyed at work, found there was a bigger ecosystem, and then your own personal learning turned into a community project. That's really cool. How long was it until from when you first did the first issue of the newsletter? How long did it take you to kind of formalize the idea, from that first point where you thought, oh, this will be quite a good idea to actually getting that first newsletter out?
No, I remember that the first newsletter was, I think, early May of the past year. And it was like, if you see it right now, it's like 2 links, bad formatting, and nothing like super special or nothing that I'm proud of as in the result of it. But it was a way to start. I always encourage people to start small, but to start, like, you start from somewhere. I recommend the same for FinOps. Like, you do an experiment. This was an experiment on that date, and I didn't know where it will bring me nowadays, even though it's only been a year, and we don't know where it will bring me the following years. but it was an experiment. And yes, the first took me, and it took me time to do the research and everything, but then I started every week improving the process, having more sources, so being able to retrieve more information easily, being able to check more content, because the difficulty was to find the quality content. Because everyone shares on their blog, and there is another blog, and then on LinkedIn, and then everywhere, and having a system to be able to gather everything in a single place kind of easily, because I was working on another place at that time, it was difficult for me, but it all improved every week, and every week we try to improve it and try to bring more value to the community based on the feedback from the audience. We normally do like interviews whenever you reach X amount of reads. I always send you a link to have an interview if you want to give feedback, to provide anything, and that's it. And the community feedback is always, like, the consumer feedback is always critical for any product, and the newsletter specifically, because it's built for the community. So that's key for me.
How was the excitement factor when you first? Because obviously you're going to get your first reader, and then you get your first subscriber, and then you get suddenly you've got 100 subscribers. How did you find that sort of enjoyment?
That's amazing. That's kind of one of the most things when you start. I don't know. I remember I was seeing. I even do that day every week. I check the numbers. I see there is an evolution. If it's decreasing, why? If it's increasing, why? Because we have peaks, we have cycles. Some people are more interested. Some people are reading more, are reading less. So I remember, like, the 100 subscribers was amazing. The 1,000 was amazing, of course. And we did giveaways, and we always try to celebrate this, because we did with the 3,000, with the 5,000, we'll do with the 10,000 for sure. We are super proud of the result.
How many subscribers have you got at the minute?
I think it's 5,200 almost.
Wow. So that's just over a year, I think, isn't it?
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty impressive going. It's got to be, especially the FinOps community is not a big community either, is it, by comparison to other areas? So it's really good traction you've gained there. So what's been your favorite newsletter out of all the ones you've published? Is there any kind of particular stories that jumped out for you, or?
So being able to, like, the FinOps X post ones are probably one of my favorites, because they are special because I changed the format. It's all around the events. It's all around a certain topic. So, and it's good to see, like, how the event went, the different perspectives, gathering all the updates, to share all the content that shared in those FinOps Foundation events. So those ones are probably the ones I like most doing, because they are a bit different on the outside. And then when it's like when there are like big updates, so like, for example, AWS doing something crazy, when the reinvents are normally, they are very active, or an acquisition. For example, I remember the acquisition from IBM of QFcost. That was because I would do a meme with Homer Simpson, which was funny. It's when those type of things that revolutionize the community, the Flexera acquisition of NetApp, all this, like, when they impact a lot of the communities, is very good to do this, because it's like something has happened and has changed the ecosystem. So it's good.
Is there any sort of stories or articles in the newsletter that you remember being quite, I guess, what's the right word here, that drove like a lot of community conversation? Because I think sometimes you get like a lot of opinionated stories where people agree with them and disagree with them, and it drives lots of really good community discussion. Is there any stories that jump out from that side?
So yeah, that ones I mentioned, the acquisition is always, driving debate about how it will evolve, the FinOps ecosystem becoming more mature, all of this. Then I always recall, like, tagging topics are always very opinionated and very incentive of debate, because some people like it, some people dislike it, and I think it's a very common topic, but it's also very discussed topic in FinOps especially. And I remember, some of the updates from the cloud providers, especially, and I remember also the focus updates, the focus releases tend to have a lot of engagement, because it's, I think, one of the most important actives in the community. So yeah.
What about your own career then, Victor? Before the newsletter, what were the kind of things in the FinOps space that you remember particularly enjoying doing, or is there certain like parts of FinOps that you really enjoy?
Yeah, so as my background is from DevOps side, I enjoy mostly working on that side, applying FinOps. So being able to apply FinOps to my day-to-day basis, mostly that's why I always try to share open source, GitHub repos, all these type of tools, because I am able to apply them on my work. So I work mostly with Kubernetes deployments, all that stuff. So I try to apply FinOps on those ecosystems. So when I find tools on GitHub, or tools that I can test in Kubernetes or share it with my teammates, it's always interesting. So that's because of my background in the DevOps side is the most interesting part, because when I see anything related to code, I always share it, because I think those are the most actionable ones, because people are always asking about why do engineers don't do the FinOps, etc., etc. I am, of course, on the side of, I understand why engineers could not be doing FinOps, and I share that. So that's why I try to do that role of sharing information for them and sharing tools, so that they can have it and they can just go ahead and implement it, because someone has provided them with the right tool for the job.
Yeah. So what about for yourself, Victor? What's the big things you're going to be working on over the coming months, like either for the newsletter or in your own career?
Main thing is going to be improving. So we had a FinOps a tagging course. So we are trying to improve on the learning side, trying to be able to provide a more, let's say, evergreen or more stable learning phases. So being able to provide more learning content to the community. So that's one of our goals. On the newsletter, trying to improve, trying to reach as many people that are interested in FinOps as possible, or if they are not interested, let's say now, and there will be on the cloud cost, they will be suffering cloud cost issues, then being able to be a reference for them. And also on the video side, so trying to do more podcasts, more videos. We are trying to increase the team size so that we are able to provide this, and doing the online events. So we'll do the FinOps Weekly Summit on the 23rd of October. So we'll do like a large event gathering for the FinOps Weekly community. So that we have the opportunity for people that come from vendors, ISVs, practitioners, everyone that has something to share. They will have the opportunity, if the content is valuable, to share them, no matter where they come from.
So do you see? Excuse me. It sounds like you see there's a really good opportunity to sort of turn the weekly newsletter into almost like the one-stop shop for learning anything to do with FinOps potentially. Is that kind of what you're thinking?
I'm trying to, the goal with all the initiative, even though it started with a newsletter and now it's more like a community initiative that is more horizontal, let's call it that way, is try to make FinOps content accessible for everyone, and being able to share it in any format that anyone wants to consume, whether it's a newsletter, it's a podcast, it's a video, it's an event, it's anything. And everyone in the FinOps community, whether they are leadership people, business people, or engineering people, finance people, that have some kind of content that they can consume. and they can, learn from it, because as I mentioned, it's difficult to gather all this content, but I am trying to solve that problem, so that we want to be the reference for them to have this content accessible independently of what their background is. If they are interested in any part of FinOps, we'll try to provide that content.
That sounds really good. So are you kind of spending like full time around FinOps Weekly Newsletter and those little initiatives that you're doing with it, or do you do other work as well?
No, I do other work. I have my day-to-day job, and then this is, let's say, a side project, even though now even have someone working for the people we have working in the media company that is focused on this side. But I am still working on another side. So this is a part-time effort, even though it takes a lot of time, but trying to do my effort to balance it on both sides.
So we need it to grow big enough so that you can just spend all of your time on it, I guess, don't we?
Yeah, I hope that times arrive soon. But in the meantime, we'll have to do it this way. But I think while the result is good to my qualities, the only problem is that I cannot do more things. But it also helps me. I have to say that the benefit of that is it also helped me improve a lot of my focus of the effort, so I can know where I should focus myself, which is also something that is beneficial for my career. It's like I now learn a lot of how to prioritize, how to select what to do next, because the time is limited, and in my case now it's kind of hard to balance everything. So focus and prioritization have been two skills that I improved a lot thanks to this adventure as well.
So do you see yourself eventually doing sort of like in-person training and stuff like that as well through the initiative, or do you see it all being online content?
So the good thing, there are two good things and bad things about online and in person. On online, the good thing is that your reach is everyone in the world basically that has a connection. So the only thing limiting you probably is the time zones. So if you have on demand, then you can reach everyone almost. So that's the good thing. The bad thing is that the personal touch that I have seen in the events that I have attended to is not comparable to the online feeling. So starting online has been easier for I think everyone in the community to be able to know everyone, be able to access everyone. But the idea in the future is to be able to do in-person things, whether they are events, trainings, meetups, whatever, so that we can connect directly with people. So that's something that we are working on for the next future, but this is still work in progress due to availability, resources, etc. But this is something that we are working on in the background, and we'll let you know once we are doing our first events, on-site events, and on-site trainings. Everyone will be informed.
Sounds cool. What about in terms of the audience for the newsletter? Then how do you think the audience sort of splits across the different major cloud providers in terms of their areas of interest?
Yeah, so in terms of the area of interest, I think so mainly because due to being fair, the updates related to FinOps are higher on AWS than the other providers. Azure has also a lot of updates recently, especially related to the information, the gathering of information that is very specific to Microsoft itself. And then GCP, I think, is the one that tends to provide less information. So I think that more people are interested in AWS, but I know and I see, because I met them, the Azure community is very active. Like they are very specialized in Azure. They know the needs and grades about Azure because they come from the cloud architectural perspective. So I know people like Anderson, Alfonso, Laurent, they are very good at FinOps in Azure, and they know a lot about it. So I think the community for Azure practitioners is very remarkable. I would say, like, the people know really, really difficult stuff on Azure, and it's very remarkable. I think then, of course, there is a lot of AWS content, and then probably the on GCP, the most remarkable one is BigQuery. Like BigQuery optimization is one of the hottest topics, I would say, in terms of GCP FinOps.
What about in terms of, from the audience perspective, in terms of people who come from a technical background versus a business background? Do you have any sort of views how that splits up?
Yeah, so on that, I think most of our audience comes from the FinOps side. So since there is this FinOps, we don't know exactly like where they come from. We assume like we know what the role is, so we know that's what their role are. And then there are a significant presence of cloud architects and DevOps. So technical people are definitely also because like the newsletter we collaborate from, they are more technical, and I share technical content. So technical people, either from lower levels or higher levels, they are interested and they share the content later with their teams. And then so I know there are finance people around it, and management people are as well. So I would say like FinOps title, like full FinOps title people, then cloud architect and DevOps people, and then management leadership management people, and then some people that are coming from finance or that side is probably the lowest, because I think there is a still lack of content in the finance side for FinOps. Specifically, it tends to dive into procurement, maybe more item part, but still technical. So it really needs to probably develop a little bit more on, and I'm working on that with people that are specialized on finance, because I come from a technical side, but I'm trying to develop that side because I think it's probably the least developed, and I think it's one of the most important ones.
Yeah. So do you think that kind of view will influence some of the content you put out in the future? Because I guess at the minute you probably have more of a slant towards those technical people, but is that something you're looking to put more content in other areas?
I would love to, in general, in my personal perspective or personal development, I would love to be better at finance, accounting, all this stuff. So for my personal, hobby, I would love to know more about that. And then if I am able to apply to FinOps, it would be great. But probably my way of doing it will be through collaboration with people that are already specialized on that, so I can be able to learn with them, interview them, create content with them, and understand it a bit more, so I can incorporate more that type of content into my day-to-day basis, so that type of people and also the technical people can learn more about the finance, so that all this collaboration that we talked about in FinOps with all the personas, leadership, finance, and engineering probably, and of course the FinOps one, are the most like intersecting. They need to understand each other's languages, so being able to learn like the other side languages is also great. I know something because of my my hobbies, but I need to understand more and be more into the topic when it comes to finance. So I would love to develop myself on that.
So how did people collaborate with you at the minute? I know you've mentioned interviewing people a few times. Is it mainly like you might do like a podcast type thing or do you just interview people and then turn that into an article or something?
So in general, I'm very open to any format any people can think of. I've done almost everything. So blog post, if you want to reshare a blog post that you have created, you can send it to me and I will reshare it on either on the newsletter if it's already published, or on the website that we have, so that it's published for you, and we can redistribute and try to help with the reach to these people that may have their own blog and maybe have like short reach and the content is valuable. Try to distribute them, the podcast. If people have something to say regarding to FinOps and they have a topic they want to talk about, we don't care about the title, we don't care about anything else other than the content itself. So that's my main focus. And then, of course, the community. So we have a Slack community. So if you are interested, in there in the debate, solving doubts, providing doubts, etc. You are always welcome to be in the community. We have, I think, we already have almost 500 people, or we have surpassed the 500 people there. So that's a good community that asks questions, interacts, and shares. And it's a pleasure. So any format that you want contribute to your community, we can help distribute, and we can help you become better in FinOps in general.
So what about technology-wise yourself, Victor? What's your technology background?
In terms of technology, I started, as a Python developer. So I work a lot in Python. Then I always started with Java in college, I remember. Now I still do Java. I still do full stack with TypeScript. And then, of course, all the DevOps side, so all the Docker side, Kubernetes, pipelines in any provider, you name it. Terraform, of course, is one of my main skill sets that I've developed through these recent years. So that's my main skill set, like a DevOps style. Then on cloud providers, I started on AWS as a developer. I remember doing a development project for AWS with Lambdas, etc., etc. And then I moved to a more multi-cloud perspective. So I work with GCP nowadays mainly, and Azure. I always been working with it due to the authorization and the credentials being on Azure ID, Entra ID, all this stuff. So it's always been like something that I've worked on. I got certified some time ago. So now it's more multi-cloud, even though I am probably better at GCP. And then the DevOps stack is probably my best, apart from Java, but and Python, because I've been coding like forever. So I know the stuff, but now AI is helping you a lot. So it matters.
What's your thoughts on how the content in the newsletter changes as AI's kind of become more prevalent the last few years? Is that something you're seeing becoming a bigger topic in the FinOps space over time?
Yeah. So if you see, a lot of the content have swapped to AI. A lot of FinOps tools are talking about AI. All the FinOps providers are talking about AI. So in general, everyone is talking about AI, independently of the background. So yeah, AI is affecting a lot. The MCPs, the models that are swapping, the consumption, because we can't forget that the consumption of AI is huge, and how it has changed the FinOps itself. Like, how do you optimize for AI consumption is way different than the way that you've been doing for VMs, storage, etc., due to this consumption base. So it changed a lot, and you have to be very specific to that solution. So it really saved a lot, given that everyone is using it and everyone is, spending money on AI. So it really saved. If you see the content online, there is a lot of more AI content than 2 years ago. And it's been really something that has changed the FinOps, the world in general, but the FinOps ecosystem in particular.
Mm-hmm. What about for yourself then, outside of FinOps Weekly Newsletter and work? What kind of things do you get up to, like personal wise? Because I think if I'm right, you're in Madrid, aren't you? If I remember.
Yeah,
right.
yeah. I live in Madrid. I'm coming from Spain, Madrid. So on my side, personal side, I spend a lot of time, on the content side, like being able to know how to create better content, how to collect better information, being able to share more and construct more. Then I love reading in general. I am trying to build a habit again, because I lost it for some years, and now I'm finding my way to reading a lot. So at night, to avoid like the phones and all these screens, I tend to read, even though I use a Kindle.
Yeah.
So whatever. and also I like sports a lot. I've been practicing jiu-jitsu for I think a year and almost 2 years now.
Okay.
So it's been an interesting sport. I like it a lot.
Is that something? Yeah, because I think jiu-jitsu has belts like karate and stuff.
Yeah, those ones. I am a green now. I am a green now, so I it's the same martial arts progression because this is Japanese jiu-jitsu. So basically, this is the same system, let's say, of belts as in judo. So I work on it, and I really like the sport and the all that is related to that. So that's my main sport for when I am out of, I leave the work, I leave newsletter work and all that stuff. That's my go through sport for that. Other than that, going through a walk and thinking about stuff.
That's really good. So I think Victor, just to kind of close out with the last question. So if obviously you've been so successful this last year and a bit with a newsletter, on behalf of the community, thanks for all the effort you've put in. But I think the community probably also wants to help you get it to the next level, I would assume. How can people best help you take the newsletter further than what you've already took it? If people want to engage with you, help you out, be involved, what kind of things could people do?
Yeah, so first of all, thanks for the kind words. We are doing our best here to share with the community and try to help. I think that's why it grow so fast, because the mission is to help and to share. So if you want to get involved, DM me on LinkedIn, do reach me out on there, and we can see how we can collaborate. If you have any content that you want to share, you should DM me, and we'll work our way to work on it. Blogs, podcasts, news, whatever. Send me whatever, and it will be great. Then, if you want to be part of the community, I think the Slack is in my profile, so you can join the Slack community. You can join the summit, because it's going to be, if you are especially coming into FinOps, it's going to be a great event for joining and for learning about FinOps and for other perspective from the community. And if you are already a member and you cannot contribute, or you don't need to, and you already are into it, share the newsletter with everyone that you see is helpful for. Just share the link, share the edition. If you found something useful, it really helps a lot to see people referring other people. You can even get rewards. So I remember I gave some book to Lee Wagner, one of the very well-known members of the community. I share, if you refer people, I will share with you any material that I can find as a reward. You can get a digital book, a physical book. So it's a pleasure to have people sharing it, and I really encourage you to do it. So those are the best ways for you to help me make FinOps Weekly the best newsletter it can be.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us, Victor, today. It's really nice to just get to know you a little bit, and hopefully that for the people watching the podcast, just to get to know the guy behind the newsletter, I think is what I really wanted to get out of today's session. So thank you for sharing everything with us, and keep up the great work.
Thanks a lot, Mike, and pleasure to be here, and thanks for the great interview.